So I'm super excited today. I'm sitting down with Jane Zarse. Jane is an author and top social media influencer. She believes in the unshakable trust in God, love, the universe, whatever one decides to call our higher power. Such a beautiful intro. Welcome to the show, Jane. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thanks for having me, Owen.
This kind of, oh my God, I can feel everything now. Everything is flooding in. I'm not being able to suppress anything through the alcohol. So I think that must make you much more present when you become sober, because you have to feel everything. Have I got that right or not?
Absolutely. It's almost so overwhelming because I was numbing these emotions for so long. The common saying is when you get sober, the good news is your feelings come back, the bad news is your feelings come back. But it all came back. And the only way out is through. I had to feel all of it. I grieved my mother's death 8 years later. If that just because when you're operating, when you're not fully present or aware, and you're on a substance that leaves you constantly alternated, um you're not living. I was existing at best. I wasn't living life. So I'm aware that I'm living today, and part of living is feeling those things.
What do you feel was it about you as a person that allowed you to pivot to see what was happening? Because it can't be easy to have that moment of, wow, hang on a minute.
I didn't get better for myself because I didn't think I was worth it. My self-esteem was so low, but I had a daughter who was living with my father because I was an unfit parent. It's really hard for a mom to admit that I was an unfit parent, and your kid's not better off in other hands, but I was there. And I knew if I wanted to see her again, I knew if I wanted her to grow up with a mother, I had to get this. I had to quit drinking because I was useless. I was utterly useless. My drinking made me pathetic, useless, and I was borderline alcoholic dementia, unemployable. So it was, I was as ready as only the dying could be. It was. I would go to the ER and they tell me your kidneys are shutting down. I mean, it was literally. I was at the end of my rope. I took it all the way as far as I could.
As you were going through this journey, is another big part of this the community aspect, being in a group, going through things together? Does that all play a part too, being to be seen by people who are kind of being where you've been, going where you're going?
Absolutely, but this past year, that's really changed. But yeah, absolutely, there's a connection. Um, there's a great connection within the AA community, but there's also a great connection with people from my meditation circle, or people from any sort of spiritual group. If it's recognizing, hanging out with people that have that same sense of there's something greater, than what we see in front of us. That whose minds are more expanded. That's I think that's the bigger community at large, especially right now. And that's what AA was. A bunch of people who didn't know me. I showed in sick, poor, broke, and a bunch of strangers took me in and loved me back to life. So if you're ever having doubts about, the human race and how horrible we all no, the good outweighs the bad by far. There's so much more goodness in the world by far than bad. I really believe that.
Oh, 100%.
The media just doesn't like to cover it as much for some
No.
reason. I don't know why, but
Yes,
yeah.
that's for a different podcast. But yeah, certainly there's way more goodness. I think we've seen that even with COVID. We've seen that. There's been so much community outreach and so much support.
I know.
It's been really beautiful actually to show that we can come together. But it's negativity bias. We're always in this kind of fight and flight. I'm just going to double check there's no danger. So we're kind of wired to be kind of looking for stuff when really deep down we just all want to feel okay and feel loved and safe. Is
Right,
in
and
us.
the reality is we're not being chased by tigers anymore. That's we were wired like that initially. We can take that and take it down a couple notches now.
There's so much about you that reminds me of me, and it's just been really lovely to sit here with you today. But thank you for contacting me, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was a real pleasure. It was a real honor. Thank you so much for having me, Owen.
No problem. Thank you, Jane.